This is Kara Tucker from the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Today, the 3rd of August, 2019, we are recording an interview about the 1969 forgotten tornado. If you would please state your name, birth date, and where you were born, we will begin the interview.
I'm Sister Ann Cecile, and I was born in July of 41, and I grew up in Cranberry Prairie, Ohio, which is a small town about 100 miles north of here.
Oh, so you moved to the area, or what brought you to Cincinnati?
I entered the Franciscan Sisters of the Poor in Cincinnati, and have been around in our different ministries since then.
Okay, so you were in Hartwell in 1969.
I was.
In August. So the day of the tornado, what was the weather like? What was the day like, or what were you doing that day?
I worked in the dietary department, kitchen, and I don't really remember the weather particularly that day, but I remember it was like in the evening because we had just finished our evening meal and we're getting ready to close up. And I remember one of the sisters saying, well, if the rain starts, because it had gotten dark, if the rain starts, would you close the windows on the other side of the building, because they were doing something else. So I said, surely, and we were just all leaving, and I walked down the hall, didn't even get all the way down the hall, which was probably 50 feet, and it hit. It came, the rain started and the noise and the wind, and proceeded, but there was no closing windows. It was just like there was too much pressure. You couldn't close them. And it was a matter probably of minutes, and everything just quieted down. But the rain lasted for a little while. And by the time you went around to see what happened, we had quite a bit of damage. We had one corner of the building, the roof was taken off, which was a slate roof. And also we had a long gazebo that was like, literally the roof was taken off that, and some of the beams went through our dining room windows and cleared the tables because we had them set for the next morning. Oh. And there was probably like 80 trees, and also hit a lot of the windows on the south side of our building. And our second floor was like where our sisters that were more ill and needed care were in, and some of those were actually in bed, and the windows were broken and glass all over the bed, but no one got hurt.
Oh, wonderful.
It was amazing that no one, but then I and another sister that was there at the time, were probably the youngest people there, had to literally get the sisters, help move the sisters from that side to the other side of the building, which was not hit at all. And
so what side of the building was that, the west side, or?
It was like the north side.
Okay.
Because it was like the south side was hit, so we moved them to the north side. And literally, some of those sisters were actually from Germany, and they were afraid to move because they thought it was an air raid. And so
Wow.
it was traumatic. And so it took us a while to do that. And then our leadership of the congregation was out at Friarhurst, which was at that time on the east side of town. Okay. And we knew they would be concerned when they heard. So the sister and I had to literally cut trees to get out to be able to get to a phone.
Oh, wow. What did they use to cut the trees?
I guess we had, I don't remember what we had. Maybe we were able to move branches and things
Mm-hmm.
enough to be able to open up enough that we could get our cars. We at that point we had a garage which wasn't hit, mm-hmm. and we managed to get the car, a car through it and able to get out to let them know that the sisters were all safe, mm-hmm. and that we did have damage. And one of the no trees that fell, we had like 80 trees that went down at the time.
Wow.
And we had one tree that literally fell on the house that the priest lived in.
Was anyone inside of it at the time?
Father was.
Oh, wow, okay.
But it was, on a corner and there was actually a porch that was kind of pretty much knocked off. Mm-hmm. But
was it repaired, or did it have to go? Or
at that point we repaired it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still standing today?
No longer standing today.
Okay.
It's really, I don't know if you ever passed our place. There's a garden in that area now.
Okay.
Where we have a lot of community gardens, and that's in that area where the house was.
So it sounds like it really impacted the grounds a lot.
It did.
Did it? What was that like? Was there a long cleanup period after that, or did the sisters work really hard to make that happen?
Well, I think we had somebody come in to cut the trees
Sure.
and everything, and take it from, clear that up, because there wasn't that many of us there that could, because it was really where our retired sisters were. Because most of our sisters at that point was out ministering in the hospitals or wherever they were ministering.
Did a lot of that happen after the tornado, as far as kind of like a community impact, or that the sisters worked with, or?
No, I mean, it didn't, it just, we had a lot of cleanup and
Sure.
and we had people that came in to do that. But other than, at that time, we did not have the gardens, so they weren't impacted.
Okay. So is there anything, it sounds like the devastation of the grounds was really impactful, but is there anything that for you personally that the incident kind of maybe like changed, or what impacted you the most as far as that goes?
The fact that I remember at the time we were doing remodeling in our kitchen.
Okay.
And with the rain, it literally came down because we were putting in exhaust system.
I see.
And it just came right down, so we had that all to clean up.
And you
inside.
You worked specifically in that area,
Yeah.
I think you said
Yes.
earlier too.
Yes,
So-
so that caused us work, but
Set you back a little bit on that progress. Yeah.
yes. And at the same time, we were also building what we called our Franciscan Terrace, which was just north of the building. And there was nothing, no timber or anything that was moved there.
Oh, wow.
It was just more like southeast corner of the property that was hit.
So is there anything today that if you were to walk on the grounds, would you kind of know that something, oh, you could tell that that's a little different as a result of that? For instance, I know Hartwell, there are certain buildings that are, or areas that have changed as a result of the storm going through. Are there any visible remainders of?
Well, at that time too, we had this, I don't know, this was like a green fence that kind of blocked off our grounds.
Okay.
A lot of that was taken out, and that was never put back in.
Okay.
So now people can really see more on our grounds.
So lost a little bit of privacy.
Right.
Let's see. So it sounds like we've been looking at how the storm has been kind of largely forgotten because of the '74 tornado that happened a few years later, and that's the one folks tend to remember. Why do you, if you had to guess, why would you think that maybe this one, we're definitely endeavoring to share more and discover more stories that haven't been told. Why would you guess that maybe it's been so hard to, there's not much of a record left? Would you maybe speak to that if you had any ideas?
I mean, I really wasn't aware that there was not much, written, because I really never looked at it. Because living through it, I didn't really need to look up anything. But probably the fact that the '74 tornado, and more people got killed, so people are more, aware. Even though there was like 3 people killed in this one, there was not, more than. But even though it covered a large area, because I remember hearing the place that was like down the corner from us, it was an insurance company, and they found insurance papers like 10 miles away,
Wow.
from stuff that they knew was from that office. But other than that, I'm not aware.
Are there any other things that you heard about, kind of like those insurance papers about the tornado and how it's the breadth of its impact?
No, I can't. I'm not aware of anything.
One of those anecdotes. Those are always fun. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share, or that you remember, or that you think is important that we have on record about that day?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, if that's everything, we will wrap up. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you.